today we continue our study of the anatomy of the English tone group by looking at the part before we come to the nucleus. Remember, it was the day before yesterday we dealt with the nucleus and its tail, so today we look at the pre-nuclear method. So what we do to start with is to say that if there are any syllables before the nucleus, then the word group, the tone unit in question, has a head or a prehead or both. And remember, the answer to which it has depends on whether there are any accented syllables. If there are unaccented syllables right at the beginning, then they constitute the prehead. If there's an accented syllable, then everything from it up to the nucleus, but not including the nucleus, constitutes the head. And as we saw, the first syllable of the head is called the onset. Now, on the handout, there's an example sentence. As I say it, follow it and see how you have a prehead, and then a head, then a nucleus, then a tail. It was easier than I expected. It was easier than I expected. You do it with me. It was
easier than I expected.
Again, it was
easier than I expected.
Notice the prehead, it was unstressed. It was unaccented. First accent on ease. Easier than I constitutes the head. Peck is the nucleus. It is the tail. It was easier than I expected. It was easier than I expected. Here are some sentences. The first one, we might say it like this. There are lots of things to do. There are lots of things to do. Now, you see if you can decide where the nucleus is, first of all. There are lots of things to do. Where's the nucleus? Do. Okay, let's mark that by underlining it. It's actually a high 4, but okay. Now, are there any accented syllables before we get to the nucleus? There are lots of things to do. There are lots. There's an accent. So that's the onset, starting there. This is the nucleus here. Is there a prehead? Yes, because there are syllables before the first accent. So here we've got the prehead. There were lots of things to do. Notice the typical weak forms. I'm saying it as there were lots of things to do. You don't have to do this. You don't have to weaken there to the, but we often do so. It's very typical to weaken were or where to were when it's unstressed. There were lots of things to do. So we've got prehead, head, and nucleus. What did you think of the pub walk? I thought it was really lovely. I thought it was really lovely. Now, where's the nucleus? It was really lovely. Love. There's the nucleus. I thought it was really lovely. Where's the onset? I thought it was really lovely. Really. So there's a head, really. And all the part before that is prehead. I thought it was. Notice I've chosen an example with a stress in the prehead, a stress on thought, but no intonational prominence. I thought it was really lovely. Notice how we go low level. I thought it was jump up for the onset, really. And the fourth. I thought it was really lovely. You do it with me. I thought it was really lovely. You see, thought doesn't really have any important meaning here. I just said to you, what did you think of it? So it doesn't need to be accented when we reply. I thought it was really lovely. What did you think of the pub walk? I thought it was really lovely. Now, it follows, from what we've said so far, that there may be a head without a prehead, or there may be a prehead without a head, just depending on the kinds of syllables. Some examples on the handout. Saturday will be fine. You know, so when should we have our meeting? Saturday will be fine, yeah? Sat is accented, new information, so that's the onset, and there's no prehead because there's nothing before it. Saturday will be fine. Or equally, we could have, I agree. I agree. Where agree is the nucleus, is unaccented, and therefore it's prehead. Prehead and no head. Now, supposing I say, Peter's delighted. Decide, is there a prehead, is there a head? Peter's delighted. Peter's delighted. What I'm doing is saying, Peter's delighted. So we've got a high head and a high fall. The high fall is the nucleus, lighted. Can't stand too close, sorry. There's the nucleus. And in fact, we've also got the onset on the first cylinder of everything. So here we've got no prehead at all. It's the head and the nucleus. Peter's delighted, and of course a tail. What about the next example? This is delicious. This is delicious. This is delicious. Is there a prehead? This is delicious. No, there isn't, because this is accented. Remember that demonstratives are very typically accented. They're one category of function words, arguably, which nevertheless are usually accented. This is delicious. Well, you can say this is delicious, but we don't do it so often. This is delicious. What do you think of this? It gets the accent, it gets the nucleus. This is delicious. What about the next one? He was wrong. He was wrong. He was wrong. You know, Peter was claiming this, that, and the other. Well, he was wrong. Nucleus, obviously, wrong. Is there a head? Is there a head? No, there isn't. Is there a prehead? Yes. 2 syllables. It was wrong. It was wrong. Again, notice my weak forms. It was wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong. You tried. It was wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong. That's right. Prehead, no head. It was. Likewise, if I say, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Then we've got, obviously, again, a nucleus and a prehead but no head. I've been giving you the arguments in favour of doing something, then I say, well, now, on the other hand, we might want to do something else. On the other hand, what's the intonation there? On the other hand, where's the nucleus? On the other hand, what's the nuclear tone? Other hand.
All rise.
All rise. Goes down and then comes up again on hand. On the other hand, is there a head? On the other hand, no. No accented syllables before of. So there is a prehead on the other hand, which is those low first 2 syllables.